Hi, thank you for joining me for another coloring sheet for adults. And this is a pretty special one. I'm going to add into this one a little bit more of the values that make up a therapeutic art session. So what you'll need is, of course, a coloring sheet. And this is out of the Adult Coloring Book by Bendon, Bendon. It has this I don't know what you call this structure with the water wheel on the side of it, but it says coloring. These are vintage illustrations and etchings, and the reason why I picked this particular book is because you're able to use watercolor on here, which I recommend using watercolor pencils so that you use a very small amount of water. That way the pages don't ripple too bad. I will probably use on this as well some color pencils because that's what you're used to using. Some people have had success adding a small amount of water to the coloring pencils when they use them. I have not, so I have a few, and you can just get a couple of cheap ones. It doesn't have to be expensive watercolor pencils. You'll need for the watercolor version just a small brush or two and a very small amount of water. I'm not going to use that much water. I probably have way too much water in here as it is. So this is, I want to let you know, this picture, and the reason why I picked this is because sometimes you may feel overwhelmed. You or someone you know may feel a little lost, out of it. You may feel that your voice is not being heard. Some people even feel that they're invisible, or of course their existence doesn't matter. I want to show you or display this, demonstrate this within this picture frame, that it does. Everything that the artist has illustrated here is significant to the overall picture. And so hopefully I can demonstrate that throughout this color sheet. Now the person, I generally say pick an object in this picture plane that represents you, and I have looked at this and I'm going to pick this one. The reason I'm going to pick this one is because part of it is cut off. I have a book under here. I wasn't able to pull these pages out, so I'll leave the pages in. That's why this is under here, to keep the next page from getting wet. But this will represent you, or the person that feels overwhelmed, the person that feels maybe they're lost or their voice isn't being heard. From this person, I want to demonstrate, if this piece was not here, it would leave a void. I know it doesn't look like it right off the bat, but if this flower was not here, it would leave a void in this picture plane, and it is not balanced. Also, to let you see that from this one flower, there are other offshoots that are being supported by this flower, even off to this side. There's some things behind it and some things that are springing forth from it. This represents each and every person. Whether you feel what you're doing is accomplishing something or not, or whether or not it's significant, it is. It may be small, it may be even minute, but it is significant. So I'm going to use as this flower's color orange, and the reason I'm using orange, I'm going to apply the color. And when we use this, the reason I'm applying the color with this pencil first is because I don't want to add too much color or too much water to the page. So I'm going to use orange for this flower because in energy work, we often know that a blockage of the second chakra, which is orange, often leads to illnesses and other problems. Now the energy flows from the red, or the first chakra, and that's why I'm going to add a little red in here, as well as a little blue Putting the blue here. The blue is a complementary color of orange, and it's going to give me what I need for this. So that, of course, we want to balance in all that we do. And sometimes if we are not balanced, we tend to have quite a bit of problem. So I'm using that in there. And of course here I'm going to add some yellow. This is a muted yellow because I don't want this flower to be blah or plain. Because although we may feel blah or plain at times, we are not. We are much more intricate than we realize, and oftentimes it's the hidden parts of ourselves that we overlook, and therefore others will overlook it as also. And let's add, of course, I've done those, and I want to add a little bit more orange in here. I want enough. It is very important what's inside and what it makes up each individual. And sometimes it's so hidden that even we don't see it ourselves. So now I'm going to take just the smallest amount of water. Don't you see what I'm doing? I'm just the smallest amount of water. I'm going to wipe the brush off on the inside of the cup because I don't really want that much water. I'm going to tap in here just for the red, and I'm going to rinse that off. I don't want the color mixing right away. I'm going to tap this blue in here. It's going to give it some depth because, of course, we don't see what we have inside. I don't need that much water, so I'm wiping off most of this water. I only want a hint to show because, of course, like I said before, the things that are inside of us we don't often know. And it is only when we are faced with certain circumstances that those things come out. I want to put a little yellow in here. This is a muted yellow, so I may have to go to a much brighter yellow than that. Red and yellow is what make up our orange, and the red and the yellow are the primary colors. I'll put a little in here. So you cannot have the orange without the red or the yellow. And when the energy is blocked coming from the red chakra, it tends to mute and mess up the other chakras because only a small amount of energy is moving upward throughout the body. So now I'll switch to the larger brush. These are watercolor pencils. Now some are better than others, and I'm just pulling the color throughout the petal. Not too much water at a time because, of course, I don't want it to mess up the pages. And I'm not being so concerned with staying within the lines here because with watercolor, it doesn't stay within the lines that you see. Nice. Alright, so I'm not getting that nice orange spreading out that I wanted, and that is because this is a color pencil and not a water soluble or watercolor pencil, which I thought it was, and it is not. Alright, so I have one that will perform like I need it to. Here's some orange that I'm going to place in here because I don't want that flower more of the yellow than the orange. And we should see a significant change once I add this in here. Now, with all my colorings, when I do colorings, even when I'm just painting with regular paints, I never paint the entire thing one color. I leave spots here and there. And that is because I would like to go back and add other colors to it. Say right in here, if you can see that, I have some space right in here. I want to put some yellow in there. The blue is there and it's not showing up so much. I don't want it really to be so green, but I'm adding yellow in there. So I'm going to wait and leave that. Touch it again with the water. And there's a big difference. So remember earlier I told you some people have had quite a bit of success adding water to simple coloring pencils. I have not. And maybe it's the pencils I'm using. If you have to just touch and drag and touch and dab, it's okay. You don't want the whole thing to be one flat solid orange. Remember, these are great for framing when you're done. So I'm going to add a little bit more orange to this one. Do it sort of underneath. I'm doing that first because I want it to dry and let me come back and add more color to it. Alright, so that's all I'm going to do for that with the watercolor. Now we're going to go ahead and use our other colors and paint the rest of this. That is, of course, is representing you. And now we're going to allow the rest of the painting to come together. And again, I'm going to be really loose with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Because these really are not as, what do you call it? Not as important to the other. They're there and they're contributing. However, this is my focal point. This is my main thought. I'm gonna put a little here, little color here, and I'm intentionally coloring this lightly here and there. Now, when you're doing these coloring sheets, of course, you can put some light music on. I generally would use music that does not have words because I prefer to focus on a specific thought or focus on the sound that is being made as the pencil contacts the paper. And I'm not being true to what the objects are in these clusters. I'm just adding. Which means some of these flowers I'm painting with green. I'm making more foliage on here than is needed. But to make a point, they're not the focal point of this painting. This flower is. So we will show it as such. And we hold the pencil sideways and use the full width of the pencil lead, not just the tip, and it'll cover more space for us. And we go in and there's foliage here and there. We go in and add like so. Alright, so I'll speed this up by doing the greenery and then coming back and doing the flowers. I am not doing the time lapse speeding because sometimes you may feel that you can't do it, or I'm doing something that you're not doing. I'm doing the same thing. So some of the videos may be a little long, but I don't want you to feel rushed either. When you're doing these coloring sheets, I do not want you to feel rushed. You should never feel rushed doing the coloring sheets. And that is because you're using them as a means of relaxing. All right, and now we'll just kind of lightly do in these other ones. Now please remember, when you're coloring, you can color these flowers any color you want. It's up to you. And then go back and add a little extra color so they're not so pale. You can do that. This is your painting, and you can do that. I just want to get you to see that through all of this other stuff, there's one very important fiber running through this, or making this pop, making this work so well, and it is that main flower there. And of course I'm going to add a little orange here on this one. This flower is orange. And there can be other flowers, i.e. people that do what you do, people that look like you. They're not you. They're not you. You contribute your own special, unique personality and attributes to those around you. You always do. It's a fact. So we will, that's yellow there. I really don't want to put a yellow right next to that one, so we'll just make this one yellow. I love, absolutely love doing flowers in a manner, or these paintings in this manner. This one I'm putting color on these other flowers, but a lot of times I will gray out, use a shade of gray. And that's just using a light hand when applying black. Unless you have a gray pencil, you can use the gray pencil, but different shades of gray I will put on this entire thing. I would color all of these in a gray color, and this one would be the only one in full color. It is a technique I use all the time, and it is very, very important for you to understand the world around you. We sometimes take ourselves for granted, and we take our contribution that we make to those around us and the world around us, we take it for granted because we don't often know what that is. No one has validated it for us, and so we may oftentimes think that it's nothing. However, it's important for you to know that you make a contribution. Your energy makes a contribution to the world around you. Okay, we're wrapping this up. There's only one purple one here. There's a blue one there. And the weird thing is I didn't make a green flower, so I'm going to make this one weird colors. There we have it. Double checking to make sure everything was colored. Everything has been colored except the flowers here. So I'm going to put the light blue on them here and there. That's it. So let's see. Now we used watercolor on it. So now I'm intentionally adding a little orange in color pencil. So I did that color pencil before, and that was unintentional, and it was not something that I was enjoying. So I'm just adding a little here and there. It really doesn't look like I need it, but I'm just going back anyway to reiterate. Everything comes from center. That's why sometimes it's really important that you recenter yourself. And we say do that with meditation. Take time for the self to make sure you are balanced and in tip-top shape. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow here and there because the red is there in the middle. I'm going to use a little red color pencil to just highlight it. Only because using the watercolor is one thing, but that watercolor will take over everything, and I don't want that to happen. I want just a little blue here and there coming from this center. It will do what I need it to do. Not too much, just enough. And I want you to be able to see specks of yellow here and there. These are your true colors. Red and yellow makes orange. And if you look hard enough, you'll see glimpses of your hidden attributes that are so subtle that they're often overlooked even by you. If you overlook them, other people will overlook them too. All you need to know is you have qualities and attributes within you that make up your whole and that contribute to the world around you in a significant way, even though it does not look grandioso, as they say. You're not on the screen, movie screen. People are not on, and paparazzi's not following behind you. That's okay. You're still making a contribution. Sometimes it's the little things that are quiet that have the most effect on us. There. Oh, she's beautiful. That is you. And all of the rest is colored. I didn't color the background. But every other flower on here is colored. I think except that little one right there. We'll just put a little color on those. But everything is colored. Everything. And still, as pretty as these other colors are, they're gorgeous. That is gorgeous. It is more pronounced than the rest of them. But I had to highlight certain things about this flower for you to see it right off. So it's not in the center, and it's not here in the cluster of all of these, say all of these friends. It doesn't have a whole lot of friends, but it has things coming off from it and something in the background. It is still the center of attention. All right, thank you for joining me. Until next time.